90 Day Fiance's Brandon Gibbs has won fans over with his humor and his sweet relationship. But there is still a lot to learn about the reality star. Brandon Gibbs and his wife, Julia Trepkina, recently announced they'd moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia, just 2 hours east of Brandon's family farm in Dinwiddie, Virginia. The news came as a surprise because the couple had been considering a move to Florida. Viewers were first introduced to Brandon during the 8th season of 90 Day Fiance. His now-wife Julia had just arrived from Russia, and she moved onto his parents' farm as the couple began planning their wedding and their new life together. They went on to star in the 6th season of 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After. Brandon has learned how to stand up to his parents and compromise with his wife in a very public setting. He's finally become a fan favorite thanks to his sense of humor and his sweet relationship with Julia. But there are still so many things fans don't know about the popular reality star. Brandon worked in the pest control field when he was first featured on the reality series. He recently quit his job to focus on relocating to Florida, where he and Julia had planned to be house painters. However, their plans fell through, and it's unclear what Brandon plans to do for work now. Julia is always ready to jump into a new career, so it's possible the couple will start a business together. It's also likely that Brandon is making a pretty penny from social media and may not be in urgent need of a new job at the moment. Unlike Julia, who grew up in a large city in Russia, Brandon is used to small-town living. He grew up on his parents' hobby farm in Dinwiddie, Virginia, a small town boasting less than 4,000 residents. As a result of his time on the farm, Brandon has learned to care for animals such as horses, pigs, goats, dogs, and others. He still regularly helps his parents with chores around their farm. On the other hand, for Julia, living with in-laws on 90 Day Fiance went terribly wrong on more than one occasion. But she's since warmed to farm life and even house sits for her in-laws when they are out of town. Brandon met Julia in a unique way. His best friend was in South Korea for work at the same time Julia happened to be traveling there. They ran into each other at a bar, and the friend thought Julia would be perfect for Brandon. He immediately called Brandon from the bar so that the future couple could chat. The sparks between Julia and Brandon were immediate. They remained in touch, and soon after their first video call, Brandon traveled to South Korea to meet Julia in person. Just a few months after they first met, Brandon proposed to Julia in Iceland. Brandon has a close relationship with his parents, Betty and Ron. He lived on their farm well into adulthood and still regularly hangs out with them. Brandon often takes his parents with on vacation and even enlisted their help when wedding planning. Brandon had become such a fixture around the farm that his mother broke down in tears when he told her he planned to move out. Some fans considered Betty to be one of the biggest 90 Day Fiance villains for her treatment of Julia. Viewers were critical of Betty, who famously insisted her daughter-in-law work on the farm against her will. But the duo appears to have since squashed their beef. Brandon and Julia love to travel. They've been to Iceland, South Korea, Jamaica, the Virgin Islands, Mexico, Honduras, and Paris together. The couple has also vacationed all over the United States, visiting cities such as Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New York, and Miami. Brandon and Julia especially love to take cruises and are often criticized for complaining about money while traveling the world. Fans are eager to find out where the couple will go next. Brandon loves dogs, specifically German Shepherds, which his parents breed on their farm. Brandon and Julia have adopted 2 German Shepherd pups, named Simba and Nala, in honor of Julia's love for Disney's The Lion King. In addition to Simba and Nala, Brandon continues to help his parents care for the dogs on their property. He often posts pictures of himself on Instagram enjoying quality time with his puppies and regularly takes them on adventures to the beach or the river. The couple's dogs aren't the only pets who have become scene stealers. Many furry friends, such as Colt's 6 cats and Natalie's rat, have become 90 Day Fiance side characters who deserve spin-offs of their own. While many 90 Day stars have enjoyed creating adult content for the internet, Brandon and Julia have leaned into their funny personalities. The couple films lighthearted reels for social media, sometimes even getting Brandon's parents, Ron and Betty, involved. Brandon doesn't take himself or his critics too seriously. He's always willing to make fun of his time on the reality series and finds humor in some of his more iconic scenes. During a memorable exchange, Betty reprimanded Brandon and Julia for partaking in inappropriate activities in her therapeutic hot tub. Brandon went on to post a comically photoshopped image on Instagram in response to the embarrassing situation. Brandon is quickly becoming one of the most popular 90-day fiancé men on Instagram. His funny videos and adorable dog pics have helped him amass nearly 200,000 followers on the platform. Thanks to Brandon's growing fan base, he's been able to benefit from being a brand ambassador for several products, including pet food and supplies, as well as Real Good Foods, a line of low-carb frozen meals. He even recently featured his orthodontist in a comedic video, tagging the practice in his caption. Many 90-day stars rely on social media, Cameo, and brand ambassador opportunities as a way to make a little extra cash. And Brandon is clearly no exception. Brandon rides motorcycles. He began riding them at the young age of 6, after picking the hobby up from his father, Ron. He recently posted a picture of himself and Ron riding bikes on Instagram and explained, "I definitely get my love of motorcycles from my dad." Brandon and his dad aren't the only ones in the family who enjoy taking their bikes out for a spin. The reality star has been teaching Julia to ride as well. She's even mentioned she's working towards her motorcycle license. If they are able to convince Betty to take up the extreme sport, they will be able to go on rides together as a family. Brandon was born on September 10th, making him a Virgo. According to astrology.com, Virgo signs are rational thinkers who take the time to consider all of their options before jumping into new endeavors. Based on the amount of effort it took Julia to convince Brandon to move off of the farm, and his hesitancy to quit his job when his reality television career began to take off, he is likely an analytical Virgo. Julia, on the other hand, is a Libra. The website explains Virgos and Libras understand life very differently, as Libras are dreamers who easily jump from one idea to the next. However, the site mentions that the couple can be a successful match if they are able to compromise and meet each other in the middle, as they appear to be doing.